The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on November 5th, 2024.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now, here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Toompop. Good morning, Pam.
Aloha, Gary. How are you this morning?
Good, good. Are you fully recovered from this past weekend?
We are fully recovered from the 11th annual Made in Maui County Festival. What a blessing and treasure it was. Always a little different every year, but just a very exciting time. How about you?
I'm fully recovered, too.
For your weekend.
Yes.
That's good to hear. And you voted.
Of course I did, yes. I went on Saturday. I dropped my ballot off at the Wailuku Community Center.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you so much for all of your help with the show and all that you and KAOI do for us. We so appreciate you. And to all listening, we appreciate you as well. Happy Election Day. I hope that all of you have gotten your ballots in. If not already, today's the day. So don't miss this great opportunity to have your voice heard, especially in these times when there's just so many differences of opinions. And it's time for us to share, where we lie on those opinions and to speak out. So I hope everybody's gotten them in. I know the minute they came in at our household, everybody took the moment to vote and send them back. We prayed that that's all working very well this year. But today's that day, and so we look forward to seeing how the election goes. It's really critical on both, not both, on all three levels, a county, state, and federal level this year. It's a very important time. So for all who voted, thank you so much. For those still getting their votes in, we wish you short lines when you get there and hope it goes well for you today. We're very excited today to speak with Kristina Mekdeci. She is a small business owner of Maui, Hali'a, and just can share with you some of her experiences, and I'll share some of our experiences with the 11th annual Made in Maui County Festival that we're just coming off of. It was this past Friday and Saturday, and we'll share a little bit about how all that went. And we're also going to talk with Tom Houston, the hotel manager now of the Fairmont Kealani Resort. And he was also there. I got to see him on Saturday, which was really fabulous. So let me just tell you a little bit about Kristina. She is an artistic talent who graduated with a degree in fine arts and marketing from the University of Central Florida. After graduating, she worked as a mural artist for Walt Disney and Nickelodeon Studios, and then expanded her commercial art career by working as a graphic artist and marketing director at Florida Today News and WB18 WKCF Television. So she has an amazing artistic background. After she left the corporate world, Kristina spent 23 years with the Department of Education as an art teacher. She also created many instructional art videos for her students, which you can actually watch on her YouTube channel. It's KRE, Cree number 8, KRE 8 with Kristina, Kristina. Kristina has a passion for surfing, which inspires her Maui Hali'a series, and Maui Hali'a means Maui memories. And her connection with the mother's ocean, sea life, and amazing Hawaii sunset influences her creativity. She truly loves our island and culture. In 2011, she became a certified quantum healing hypnotherapist and works with clients who seek hypnosis and other healing modalities. Her studies in hypnotherapy inspire her Warrior Women of the World and Quantum Awakening series. She has bright, bold color and stylized paintings that awaken a sense of happiness in the viewer. She hopes her artwork brings the joy of this tropical paradise to your home. So, aloha, good morning, Kristina. It's so great to have you with us this morning.
Thank you so much. I enjoy being here. How are you doing today?
Oh, we are doing great. We're so thrilled. It was a different year this year at the 11th Annual Hawaiian Airlines Made in Maui County Festival, but we can't do it with all of the tremendous vendors like you and tremendous volunteers. And so I know that, you've been with us before, so I'd love to just hear your thoughts and talk about, how you felt this went this year.
Well, this is my third year doing this, and I like to kind of rotate and experience different locations. And I will say that the show was very smooth. I was kind of not feeling well, but I had my friends from Mokapua. I love Lisa and Sean. They were worried because I was running a little late. What? I'm sorry?
No, I said I love them. They're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and we actually, we met just as soon as they had bought Mokapua, and then we met at Kihei's tropical, what is it? The Hidden Oasis right there in Kihei. We met doing shows there, and we just instantly became friends. And I'm actually working on a painting for them right now, which is going to go on a clutch and then on a piece of wood for their promotional, to help promote their items. So I kind of joke with everyone. I'm like, I'm sponsored by Mokapua, and I can't wait to get their stickers made so I can put it all over my surfboard because, I'm addicted to their fragrances and their soaps and their bug spray. What can I say? And I know they have some new products coming out. But anyways, so they were, Lisa's so cool. She calls me. She's like, where are you? I go, I'm not feeling well, but I'm coming. And she showed up with two of her volunteers, and they immediately helped me unpack everything. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a blessing. And I mean, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but one thing I appreciate since I have left education and become a vendor is the vendors that help each other out and work together. And you can't survive without that. And especially not now with what's happening in Maui, you absolutely need that community. And so what I love about doing this event is the people you see, the community you work with, the people that work together that come out to see you. That is a good reason to do this event, if for no other reason. It's the collaboration that you get to do with all these other great vendors that are local. They're your neighbors. They live probably right up the road from you. So this year was flawless in the setup and the breakdown. Every year, like I was telling Maya, it gets better. It's, every year there's a little more organization. And even where I was, that back room, which seems to be hard for people to know to go in there, one of the volunteers really took charge, and she made sure all the doors were open, the signs were available. So I think there was a lot, considering the crowd, I felt there was a lot of traffic in that back room, which was very successful. And the breakdown, everything was smooth. What was that?
That was Fran. She is an amazing volunteer, and one of the things that she does for us is goes around and checks on people and brings her comments to us. And then we look at what some of the things we can do and some of the things we can't do, and what happens with the air conditioning if we do certain things. But there's always little nuances of things. But we love it because she walks around the whole show and reaches out and sees how people are doing, and then brings that up to us so that we can work on it.
That's really nice. I mean, you don't really get that with a lot of shows, and that's where that the Maui Chamber of Commerce is really here to help you. I mean, your group doing the show, you always want to do shows, whether they're at hotels or locations where there's people there that are there to help you, and they care about you, and that makes a huge difference.
Thank you. Well, our main goal is to serve and to make, all of our vendors as successful as they can possibly be at every opportunity.
This show, well, and I'll say it, I did not make the money that I made at the last show, but I kind of instinctively knew this was going to happen. And the reason why I want to say this is because, a couple reasons. One, being an artist, the first thing that you go through, the psychological kind of drama, psychosis in your head. You're like, oh, is it me? Is it my artwork? Did I not set things up? You start moving things around. You start having this little panic. But then, and this, not just for this show, for any show where you're kind of maybe not doing as well as you were at the last show, you go through this weird psychological drama in your head. But then over time, you realize, okay, wait a second. Let me go talk to my friends. And as I was discussing with people, everyone else kind of had the same feeling. It wasn't as profitable maybe for some of us that it was the year before. But I kind of knew instinctively we're in an economic situation around the world. We are this is an election year, not only election year, but I mean, like today is, I'm going to go turn in my ballot today. So, it was so close to critical things that are happening that I would like to share with anyone who maybe had the same experience. And I know from talking to them that they did, that we can't even take any of this personally. This is just how things are right now. Now, with that being said, I want to share with everyone that it's not just on Maui, and a lot of people think, oh, it's this, or they want to blame things that are really close to them. This is bigger than any of us right now. It's bigger. It's kind of almost affecting the world if we are all watching the news, and we're watching the news and we're seeing everything that's happening. And so with that being said, I think it's important whenever you do these shows to have a group of people and to talk with them. How are you doing? Well, what happened? I understand one lady was just so grateful that my roommate bought something from her because she really maybe didn't make a lot of sales. But not to take this personally. This is just what's happening right now during these times, and just to know that the best advice I got from people who have been doing this for 10 or 20 or 30 years is just always show up. Always show up to these events. And for the first time, I had no intention before Lahaina fires to do anything but be in Lahaina shops. I was, be in Lahaina shops, be in Maui, not move away, not even think about going to other islands, and not even consider mainland or exporting or any of that, because I like the idea of being comfortable. I'm like a little bird likes to nest, like just keep it close to home. But I lost 5 stores that carried my products during the fires, and it forced me to go to the other islands. And what I want to tell everyone is that the same economic downfall that's happening on our island is happening in Kona, Hilo, Hawaii, Oahu, but it's coming back a little bit more quickly than the other islands, because as we know, outer islands get affected first. And so not to just pack up and leave, and think it's better somewhere else, because everything else was having the same. I would, just hear the people talking about how they lost X number of dollars, or their percentage is down, or they haven't seen as much tourism as they would expect. And it makes you feel a little bit more comfort, that, okay, it's not just me. It's not just what I'm painting now, It's definitely something that's happening as a whole. And so I hope that encourages people out there that are listening that also have businesses right now and have been feeling, the same struggle, in their business since the fires during this election year.
Well, I think, we definitely, that sentiment was definitely echoed, and I appreciate you sharing it, because that's what we're all about, is being very real on the numbers and what happened. We had a great opportunity to walk around and speak with many vendors, both Amber and I and Maya, and check in with them, and, at the end of the day, and see how they were doing. And our overall sense, and our numbers are showing it, but we're taking some extra time to really look at the numbers and analyze things as well. But we know the visitor count was definitely down. And we know, which was also a little bit like last year, in that we had a lot more of a local crowd. Although last year, after the wildfires, we had a lot of visitors come in to serve and be part of the festival this year. And we didn't see that same level of visitor crowd, which was definitely, a huge piece of the market being down. But we continued to hear from the vendors that they loved the show, regardless of how it went. And we had some that did better than last year, but a lot saying no, their numbers were lighter than last year. But that there was constant traffic, and the traffic that they had was amazing. The conversations they were having with people was phenomenal. They just really felt how much the community cared, and they enjoyed being out together, and they saw new buyers. And we did have more interest in buyers from abroad. We had buyers from Canada. We've had Hankyu, who has come and been a staunch supporter from Japan, a major department store in Japan. But we had several other big department stores this year through the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism that brought them to the show, as well as Hawaii Tourism Japan put together a coordinated effort for us this year. And they were blown away by the vendors that they met and the stories that they heard and the passion and the use of local ingredients for the vendors that they got to saw. They were just amazed and were sharing their stories with us. So it was a different year and a slower year. But as you point out, the coming together with like-minded people who understand what it takes to do all of this and who are willing to share their experiences and help others is just such a great blessing. And I know we see it in Hawaii. I hear from other people it's not like that everywhere, but it really was a phenomenal show for those who protect. I mean, everybody still said, I'm so thrilled and glad that I came.
Yeah, and I did notice, even if, some people didn't buy, but they were like, oh, we'll come see you, or where can we find you next time? Because I am the local community too. And right now we are being very careful with our budgets because we see what's going on. And I know that if my dad always says to me, it's like, well, look at it this way. It's a really good advertising marketing opportunity. And that's what you have to look at all these events, whether they're, as much money as you wanted to make or not, you were there, you were in front of the public, you met good people, and you have to look at them in that way, because gosh, my year last year was phenomenal. I mean, like well above what I would have anticipated. And that just comes with this business. So it's, I would say, just kind of off the cuff, jokingly, everyone probably needs to have a therapist or someone to talk to if you're in this business, because you have good days, bad days, ups and downs. And it's very interesting to make sure that you always know, okay, I know it's going to get better. And this is what I want to tell everyone, that's a little bit, it's related to the Maui Chamber of Commerce, but not so much the show. I've never done any of the meetings that you've had before, and I went to your most recent, I think it was the Resilience Summit, and
yeah.
I am so glad I went to that. Let me tell you, Pam, I learned so much. I learned, the first thing I learned was how to record the meeting and have it dictate the information so I could save what I was hearing and look back over the information. It was really, and then I met some people that introduced me to people and other opportunities. So that was great. But learning about commerce and getting things, how do you ship or have your business expand to Japan, or how do you go into Canada? I mean, I'll be 3 years in March, so it's just very new for me. But some of the people that I am, Mokapua, Let's Go Kiddos, Danielle and Lisa, they all want to learn this too. And I was bragging about this meeting so much. I met John Holman, who I guess he works for the U.S. Commerce, and he helps with shipping and helps you understand how to move your product outside of. And he came. He was at the event. I was so good. He thought it was so funny because he's like, how do all these people know me? I go, that's my fault. I've been bragging about you. So I plan to meet with him again and talk to him again, because this is all, like, me and Lisa will look at each other and we're like, I have no idea how to do this. This is all stuff that's out of our wheelhouse of knowledge. But with the people you brought to that meeting and how they explained everything, and how there's right here in Kihei, an office that can help me and understand things that can help me with my business. I will tell every business owner right now that you make it work and you need to show up to these meetings. I met so many amazing people. There's other opportunities right now that are opening for me that I didn't expect. People were introducing me to people that have galleries and, other Maui Fine Collective, which is an online art opportunity. There are people here that are so passionate about our community. And if it wasn't for the Maui Chamber of Commerce and what the work you do, this would not be happening. And so not only am I going to attend every single meeting you have, I'm also going to now pay the membership, because I'm like, I never understood what the membership was for. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. So I ran up to Amber and I'm like, I am definitely joining, because I appreciate what happens and what you do,
Bless you. And we were so grateful, that event, which was a really wonderful event. And I got to spend time with John Holman on Sunday. He was still here and spending time on island, took the time to visit places, and I got to spend some time with him on Sunday as well. He's an awesome person. We've known him for years. We are talking to him about coming back and doing an expert program. Yes. Yes. And we'll, and I appreciate you. I mean, it was so funny this year after a number of things we've done that we were grateful to participate with the County of Maui and Department of Business, AO, Patrick Ornelas, who was instrumental in helping to put that program together and championing that with the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, and us and other partners to really get people there and out to have that opportunity. And also recently did a program with the SCORE program by Kat, who leads the SCORE program for California and Hawaii, to do a 6-week training program to help people 2x or 3x the revenue they can make off of their website, take them from beginning to end, and do some cohort work so they could work with others, taught by university professors and technological experts who have skyrocketed in the online selling arena. So there's so many different things we're constantly trying to do, and one of the things that you point out is also networking is a big part of the chamber. But people don't really know what they do. And I finally decided that instead of trying to explain all the things we do, I just simply say, what is it you need? Because what we do is help meet people's needs. And so whatever they are, that's what we're working on. And of course, everybody's needs are different and many of them are similar. But I'm so glad that you came and benefited from that. And we of course, we're going to love having you as a chamber member. But that's what the chamber is about, is connecting and helping people as quickly as possible solve challenges, take advantage of opportunities, network, learn from each other, and grow and thrive. And that's really what we're all about. And I'm glad that was of tremendous help. And from that, and from those people who attended that, we're taking their feedback and say, okay, now what else can we do next? How can we help leverage this opportunity and get them some more one-on-one time or, additional training to help them continue to move forward?
You know what I'd love to have for our next meeting? Any one of the people, either James, is it he's the head of the tourism of Hawaii, and then we have the Hawaii Tourism Authority. I would love to have just one of the meetings. Yes, I couldn't even say that last name, but it would be nice to have them come out and talk to us, and we could talk to them and find out what's going on. I don't know what the hotels are doing with the airlines and with the tourism authority to help, strum things up. But I will say last year, right after the fires, Ondas took it upon themselves to do a huge event, and they brought in all of the vacation, the people that travel, vacation planners. They brought them all in for a huge event, and it was very successful. I want to see if our tourism commissioners and authorities can help do more of these, work with the hotels, bring more ideas in so that we can have big events where tourisms are coming into and onto the island now, because like you said, people are still wondering, should we come? How is Maui?
Yes. So HTA, Hawaii Tourism Authority, just did, and I was there, a huge conference. Unfortunately, a lot of these things are done in, they move them periodically. We get our chance to be honest with you. They rotate them across the island. It was just a few weeks ago in Honolulu. and they shared the whole tourism plan. But what we will do is I will take that to heart, and we will ask them to come speak. So they actually talked about, all of their programs, but also they had the different contractors who do tourism, HTA programs, and they're responsible for it during tourism in Japan, Oceania, China, Korea, U.S. mainland, Canada. Every partner that heads a portion of HTA's tourism program in different regions had to lay out their whole plan, what their messaging is, where they're marketing, and the nuances of the messaging and why. It was really phenomenal. I will have to say that took a whole day just to do that part. There was many other things that happened around it, but we will have somebody come and talk about that and do a forum. And also in January every year, we have previously always met with the president of Hawaiian Airlines, and now we're going to meet with the new head. So look for it. We're planning it right now. Amber's working on it, but it'll be the head of course, Alaska Plus Hawaiian, who will be connecting with us. And it's a lunch, so there is a cost to attend that one, but it's phenomenal because also it's a great time for the audience to ask questions and understand where the airlines is going and how they're going to be branding and what does that mean for our local community and what does it mean for the areas they're targeting and more. You learn a great deal. So be looking for that because that is really important to understand, especially for small businesses and especially in this time, as you point out. It's not unique, but what is unique is that even across the U.S., Maui Island is so reliant, even more so than other islands in our state. We are the most reliant island on the visitor industry that supports people forget that also supports, they think restaurants support ag, which is absolutely true, but it's also the hotels and their purchase of ag that really helps our farmers, then helps the restaurants, then helps so many other industries as we trickle down. So, that was one of the big numbers that we saw.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because the one thing I love to, conclude with is I want tourism back as much as anyone else does, but I want it to be back in a way that's going to work well with the community. And that's where I think it was, the Hawaiian tourism idea was to bring people back to help work on the land and help learn the culture of Hawaii at the same time as bringing tourism back. And I don't know how involved we get with the, Hawaiian coalitions and those groups of people, but there's a way to bring this back right. And that's the one thing that I know that the Maui Chamber of Commerce is really, you're really aware of that when it comes to this.
We've been supporting it. It's actually been in progress even pre-COVID. There were summits on the Big Island, very infused with culture and sharing cultural experiences and opportunities back in even before, but I mean, really the Renaissance and the movement was really taking hold back in 2019, and we're continuing to do that. And you're starting to see amazing ag, eco, educational, cultural tourism pop up all over because we all support it, and HTA and the state are really working to back that. And
that's awesome.
There's going to be huge shifts that we continue to see, but it does take all of us being a part of it and continuing to share that support and put our voices in on what that means to us. And we talk a lot, the big word for it is regenerative tourism. And that, is a word that some people just have a hard time connecting with. I completely understand. I like to take things down a notch and just have everyday language explaining what it is we want to see. It is growing, and there are so many opportunities for all. And there's going to be much more ways to connect with that. And I think you're even saying in ag, there's so many different ways that farmers, allowed by county code, can actually do their own little fairs up there. They can have their own little fairs at their location and bring in other vendors, including artists, not just local food products, but other products as well. So it's an exciting time. It's a great time to be involved in tourism. I think I'm just in awe of it all. I feel like for years don't know why we didn't infuse more culture in our history.
Right.
But, I just think for some reason we weren't valuing we weren't valuing and sharing what we hold so near and dear to our hearts in the same way that we've now sort of broken that open. But it is open. And now it's time for us, and of course, with the rebuilding of Lahaina and a chance to do new things and protect things in a way that we had been a little bit not a little bit, very boxed in on. We have whole new ways of doing things. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I know you also, I know we're running a little over time, but I just wanted to have you take a moment because you were sharing you weren't feeling well. But I know you have a personal story that you wanted to share.
Just real quickly, and just so people understand, that when they see me and I'm doing well, it's because I'm out of the house. But I have the comparison to long COVID, and this is happening to a lot of people, but it's chronic fatigue, and the chronic fatigue syndrome is very much like long COVID, which is very interesting. So there's some days when I'm just laid out. Like after the show, I spent 2 days in bed. And so, and the reason why I want to mention this to people is because you don't know what people's hardships is that they're going through. And so always come in with compassion and do your best to know that what you may see on the surface is not always what's happening behind the scenes. But at the same time, I am so appreciative of the days when I do have enough energy to do these shows and be there and be around the public and be able to talk and converse because, and thank goodness this is working for me because when I was a teacher full time, there's no way I could do that job anymore because at least with this job, I can work a little bit, sleep a little bit, work a little bit, sleep a little bit, and that's how my life is throughout the day. And and so any help I can get, I am so grateful and appreciate. I appreciate that so much. But that's why sometimes you'll see me on my best, and sometimes you won't see me. I'll just be at home sleeping. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because right now I'm just amazed that it's something that we've never really heard much about, autoimmune disease, and now there are so many things that we're hearing about connected with autoimmune disease, and it's impacting people in so many different ways. But one of the key ways is again, it's zapping your energy, and it's affecting so many people I know. It's a real thing. And I just think, with your background and the work that you're doing, not only through your art, but also in your healing practices, I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people are going, and sometimes people are thinking, well, it's these times. I've gone through so much trauma. But they're just not feeling the same way. Really want to encourage people to take a look. Make sure you're going to the doctor. Make sure you're spending the time to take care of you. And if you're not feeling right, understand what's going on. And unfortunately, sometimes with things like autoimmune disorders, it takes them a while to figure it out. But
it was 2016. Well, I knew I had it in 2016. It took me almost 3 years to get the medical profession to realize what I knew, And so you've got to be real. You have to be an advocate for yourself to get the help you need.
Yeah, I've gone through similar things myself, and in some cases took years and over 5 years to diagnose problems, and you just keep telling them what's wrong, keep having them explore new avenues. It's critically important. It really is.
And if anyone comes, if you come to see me at the swap meet and you want to talk about this, I have nothing to hide, so I'll share with you the things that have worked for me and the things that haven't. But it doesn't mean that we're the same. But you always can kind of get some ideas for things that might help. So I'm always at the swap meet every Saturday unless I'm sick, and my booth number is 404. And I always bring an extra chair in case somebody does want to sit down and talk with me. So
awesome. And where can they find you online, Kristina?
Maui Hali'a, which is Maui MAUI, and then Hali'a HALIA.com. That's my website. I'm not really doing a lot of online sales right now because I'm focusing so much on the wholesale portion plus getting artwork ready. I did a whole bunch of commission pieces, exclusive art for Maui Ocean Center, and now I have Princeville Makai Golf resort, and I think Dole Plantation that also want exclusive arts. So because of that, online sales for me is just too much for me to handle right now. So if you do want to buy something from me, come see me at the swap meet on Saturday or call me up. Like anyone who calls me directly, I will make the time to put an order in and ship it to you. But I'm not making that a public thing right now just because of my own self needs and my own health, you know.
I totally understand. Well, we so appreciate all that you're doing. We appreciate your openness, your honesty, your sharing your amazing art with all of us. We treasure your art, and we are so glad that you were able to participate this year. And thank you for your kind words and comments and advice for people. It's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Pam. I'll talk to you again soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and go vote.
Aloha.
Aloha. All right, everyone. I do want to remind you, it is the 5th. It is our final day to vote. So I hope everybody who hasn't yet voted is making time for that. Gary is going to reach out to Tom Houston, who is the hotel manager of the Fairmont Kealani Resort. I'd like to take a moment to introduce him while Gary does that. Prior to stepping into his role as hotel manager at the Fairmont Kealani, Tom was the resort's director of food and beverage for 4 years, playing a key role in the various restaurants and bars on property, in addition to managing all operations of the 22-acre award-winning Fairmont Kealani, a property that is gorgeous that we love. Tom has been integral in spearheading the resort's numerous community partnerships aimed to bolster Maui County's youth. An active community member, Tom also serves as the regional board chair of Big Brothers Big Sisters Hawaii, and when he's not camping or shore fishing with his family, he can often be found volunteering with Hawaiian Islands Land Trust at the Waihe'e Coastal Refuge. So we are so thrilled to have Tom joining us this morning.
Good morning.
You have Tom on. Hi, good morning, Tom. Welcome to the show. It was great to see you and connect with you on Saturday with Kilokea.
Well, incredible job with the Made in Maui Festival. What an awesome day that was. And really great to see you as well, Pam.
Oh, thank you so much. I was so glad you could be there. Kilokea let me know that that is the hotel that he resides, and in the future, I need to make sure I'm letting him know about our program. I apologize.
Permission from Uncle.
I needed permission from Uncle. No, he was teasing me, but very gracious, and he gave me permission profusely. So we are so thrilled to be partnering with you. But before we talk a little bit about the Musicians Grant and what's been going on, tell us about what's going on with hotel operations. We were just talking about the festival. Our numbers, we know our numbers were down in terms of visitor count. How are you folks faring at the Fairmont Kealani?
Well, it's certainly been a lot quieter than we would like, but also than we anticipated. And ultimately for us, that's about the people. It's about our colleagues that are, working at the hotel and, needing that uptick in business as far as their personal earnings are concerned, their ability to support their families, etc.
Yeah.
The positive light is that we are seeing some movement in November, and certainly festive is, a booking pace for festive is far more positive than what we've seen over the last few months. So there is some positivity on the horizon.
That's exciting to hear. Now, one of the things we've heard, and we heard it through COVID, and I'm just wondering if that is still true, is, in the past, we had longer booking windows where we knew that the numbers of people expected much further out, and we heard that those windows are much shorter. Is that still true?
It absolutely true. In fact, it's something really from an industry that we haven't seen before, where that short booking window is definitely a reality. It has been throughout the course of the year. So, building that base and seeing, increased occupancy over the next little while, coupled with that short booking window, gives us optimism for the short term. The key will be continued sustainability long term.
Right. That's so true. And it's hard to plan when the booking window is so short, and it's hard to plan staffing. I know we've had so many staffing issues, but what I've heard of late as well is that, again, as the counts have been lower, even with reduced staffing, a lot of the staff still don't have all of the same hours that they used to have, just because we don't have the same amount of guests.
And ultimately that's what's so important, Pam, about programs like this, and, why we're absolutely honored to partner with you, is that, this is not just about the businesses, or in the case of the program, about the musicians specifically, but creating this type of animation, whether it's in resorts, local small businesses, anywhere on the island, has that residual tertiary effect of supporting the people ultimately, which is what you mentioned, whether it's through their hours, through gratuities in a food and beverage situation, and that's why creating these experiences is so incredibly important right now.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and I really appreciate what you're doing to help us with the local musicians. Maybe before we talk a little bit about that, maybe you could talk about what you were saying in terms of, I know the musicians have always been a big part of the industry, have been a big part of your property. What are some of the struggles from your end that you've seen with the music scene and what the musicians have been going through?
Well, it's what makes Maui and Hawaii so incredibly special is the culture, ultimately. And so as we see, decline in business levels, and we see less businesses that are actually, supporting is not the right word, but enacting live music, it ultimately impacts the experience side, whether it's for our visitors or whether it's for our local community, whereby sharing culture through music, through food, through beverage, through connection, that's what the traveler is after these days. It's no longer just about the destinations, but incredibly important that those experiences, add that value and create that richness of why they're coming anywhere, but specifically, how special it is to come to a place like Maui with, such an incredible culture. So, we definitely, to answer your question, we've seen a decline in the amount of live music opportunities. We've held on our programming, but what was incredibly important about this grant specifically is that this is incremental. We have additional music on property than what we have been programming over the course of the last year, in support of trying to kickstart that sharing of culture through music moving forward.
Well, we truly appreciate you as a partner. For those of you who are listening, what we're talking about is a grant that actually Hawaii Tourism Authority put together. It was a grant specifically for musicians, local musicians. And through COVID, when we were all shut down, we saw that a lot of musicians lost a lot of opportunities. And sadly, even as we recovered from COVID and they were starting to get some of those opportunities back because we were reopened and they could go back and play at different venues, with some of what's happened with our downturn in the economy, we were again seeing many of our musicians struggle with opportunities to play. And HTA, Hawaii Tourism Authority, recognized this, and they specifically put out a grant to help local musicians during this time to share that culture and the love that both local residents and visitors enjoy. And the grant actually was about creating venues and places for musicians to play where both visitors and residents could share in the music and the culture and build these unique connections that Tom was just talking about. And so we wrote a grant for that and received a grant. It's coming up to a close very quickly, but there's another opportunity. We will be continuing this program on, we hope, by continuing to work with them and showcase what we've been able to achieve. But through the Fairmont Kealani partnership, they wanted to ensure, I'll say this so Tom it doesn't sound like he's tooting his own horn, but they were continuing to fund and have musicians come and play. And so as he says, it's incremental. They kept their budget, but they are helping us help these musicians by expanding the programs and adding additional opportunities for musicians to play at their venue, to continue to share their talent and music locally and with the world through the property, but also to shore up their income for them and their families. And sometimes it's an individual playing, sometimes it's a duo or a trio or a group. But what we're trying to do is help them keep that income in this downtime as one of the many programs HTA, Hawaii Tourism Authority, has to support this work and to help keep our community as whole as we can, but continuing, as Kristina and I were talking about earlier, continuing this regenerative tourism model and movement of really infusing a richness of our culture, which, as Tom shared, that's the experience visitors want. I don't know why it took us this long to get there, but we're there and we're continuing to build on it. And, and you, Tom, and the Fairmont Kealani are a huge part of that. We greatly appreciate it. We're so excited to be partnering with you on this.
Well, and I think, Pam, that the key point that you hit there, and especially in a community of this size, like these are people, and these are our neighbors, they're our family members, they're our friends, and so we are highly encouraging our local community through some additional programming to come and join us as well, because at the end of the day, and I love what you said, this is exactly what needs to happen on the move forward from an experiential standpoint. But in the short term, these people are, this is our community, and it's critically important that we come together to support them.
It is. And this is, it was kind of for us, somebody said, well, how did you get into that? I said, well, because they think of us as, they think of the chamber as all about businesses and however they view businesses. They were a little bit surprised. And oddly enough, we were working with musicians long ago because many musicians are independent contractors. They are often in business for themselves as an independent contractor, or serve and play for different other businesses across the islands and state. But they do so often, as what we call an IC, an independent contractor. And so there were times at the legislature we were working to protect their ability to do that. Sometimes they have another partial job and then serve and share their culture and music as an independent contractor at other venues. But it was just kind of a fluke thing. I used to have an opportunity to judge and evaluate some of the programs that were being put forward for grant funding in the past, and just randomly happened to say that was coming forward. And we knew coming from COVID that, again, it was such a big issue that the county had previously done some work on at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center and had some programs to help pay musicians. There was big movements to help musicians get additional funding through tips and Venmo, where people could contribute to help them, because they just saw the income for their household tank during that time. And when you've been doing that, and people so, locally, we so appreciate our tremendous artists and music, and so do our guests, so do our visitors. And just to not have those opportunities to play was a huge issue. So when we saw this, that we said this is a great economic program that we can truly help this segment of our community with, and deeply appreciate that we were able to receive this grant, ultimately from Hawaii Tourism Authority, but managed by the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, CNHA, to really help this, and appreciated that the premise was about combining, again, our community with our guests to share in these rich cultural experiences. And what a beautiful place to do that at the Fairmont Kealani.
Well, and Pam, I'll just make one additional point on that is that, with supporting the artists, which is absolutely critical, we're also supporting tertiary business. So when we're able to have more of our local community, more of our visitors in our venues, yes, it supports the colleagues, but important to remember as well, it's our local vendors, it's the farmers, it's the fishermen, distilleries, breweries, local small business owners that we're purchasing from. So, the more that we can drive as far as, that animation that brings in a draw, the more ultimately we, as the business community, spend locally as well. So it's an incredible program that we're so absolutely honored to be a part of.
Well, we are grateful. This is an important point that you bring up, and I always share with people that what we did with the visitor industry. Again, now we're coming back and we're understanding, hey, we could have done it a little better long ago, and we're changing that. But we did what you're supposed to do when you invest as a state, as a local county, as a community. When you invest in an economic engine, you try and maximize the opportunities of that investment.
1 minute, Pam.
Thank you, Gary. And very quickly, I'll just share. With that, we did restaurant. We have the hotel industry, but from that, we created a restaurant industry, a retail industry. We tremendously supported our farmers. We did a huge event industry. We do all sorts of activities, and it just goes on and on, all of the businesses that benefit. Tom, I know we've got to go, so I just want to say thank you to you for being on the show. Thank you to the Fairmont Kealani for all that you're doing, not only with this program, but in our community, supporting so many nonprofits as well. We cherish the work that you're doing, and we're all working towards a very resilient community, trying to, understand that we want to support our visitor industry, we want to move in these great new directions, and we need appropriate leadership to help us do it. So please get out and vote if you haven't. We thank you for joining Business Matters today. I'm Pamela Tiffel, President of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you a wonderful week. Blessings and aloha.